records are taken, can't be found. CPS and mills, they scheme, they turn hope into a dream. Punisher rides through the town, angry citizen won't back down. Vinny fights the shadows dark, we ignite the righteous spark. Against corruption we unite, injustice falls in our sight. We're the storm that clears the way, bring the dawn of a new day. Hidden truths behind the smiles, they've been running wicked miles, but together we will stand, bring the power to our hands. No more stealing, no more lies, we'll unveil their deep disguise. From the coast to mountain peak, justice is the aim we seek. Through the ashes we will rise, hope reflected in our eyes. Maine will save with heart and soul, fight together, reach our goal.
I don't know about my whole new rock and roll beats, guys, but we did it. It was all right. I'll give it a
Sounds good to
7.
me.
I'll give it a 7 out of a 10.
I think you have a natural gift for that, Darren.
Why,
Yeah.
thank you. What's that, getting 7s out of 10s? Or
No,
is that the almost made it type deal? Is that what that is?
you're third rate, Garrett, is what I was trying to say. Good, congratulations. At least you're not
Thank
fourth rate or fifth rate.
Thank you very much, my friend. That is why I love having you around.
Build your self-esteem for you.
Yes, keep me right in check, my friend. So what's up, guys? How was your week?
But all right.
I can't complain.
No one listens anyway, right? That's why we're here. We're here because people don't listen, and we need to make them listen, right?
Well, it would be nice. You know, it would certainly help the causes, all the various causes of we the people, if enough people would kind of wake up, listen, and pay attention and do something when the time is right. But,
Well, the time is now, don't you think?
no question. And if we all took a little bit of action, if everyone would take a moment of their day to be familiar with everything that all these issues you're talking about and make our elected servants aware of our feelings about it, that A, we are aware of it, and B, we're angry about it. We're going to demand that the law be followed, and that you can't just send an agent to kidnap a child and tell them that you have the lawful authority to do that, because you don't. So, hey, Tammy. And if enough of us were on board with that, we would see it happen. You know, people tolerate it. That's the thing. And I find it's very difficult to get enough people to do anything, no matter how just your cause. It's actually very difficult to get enough people involved to have an impact, because people are sort of inherently lazy. I'm a little lazy myself, you know, I admit it. And it takes effort. You got to write letters, make phone calls, you know, coordinate with people. You've got to, you know, sit and watch a podcast.
Nobody got time for that.
Well, yeah, or they just don't feel like doing it and they go do something else. But hopefully enough people are getting pissed off now that we'll be able to see some positive steps, some progress, holding them accountable and stopping it from happening.
Yeah, well, you know, like, I mean, how many weeks now have we been doing this? We've been doing this show for what, a month now?
Yep.
About a month. You know, people need to get used to the fact that you're there. People need to understand, you know, like, it's not just a whim. It's not just, you know, like, you know, people will start watching, they'll start listening. You know, we're here every Saturday at 2, whatever time we decide to make it in here. But in the 2s, they know that we're here. You know, and I think that's part of it too. And take your cause, you know, as real as they can take it. You know, like, are these guys just fly by night, or is this a real deal? And I think that's a lot of it too. I mean, I think people are starting to wake up and they're starting to listen to us. And they're watching our channel more and more. Maybe not necessarily this show, because we're still kind of new, and we're spaced out to Saturdays. You know, maybe it's my job to make it a little bit better and make sure we remind people that, you know, on Saturdays we're here and that we're doing this, and you know, things like that. But I think that also inherently is what ruins that ruins your cause also, is when you're not there, you're not formatted, you're not the same thing at the same time. You know, people need to build their trust in your cause before they're willing to do it. There's been a lot of dirty disservices done to a lot of causes, you know, with people ripping people off with money laundering and all of this stuff. So if they don't take you seriously, then they're not going to, you know, go out on a limb for you. And I think that's a big part of this.
It
Yeah, no
is.
question.
I think I'd have to tend to agree with you, because I see a lot of, within certain groups that I'm an admin in, I see a lot of people posting, and a lot of it is fraud information.
Hmm. Yeah, you definitely need to make sure that what you're giving out is good information, it's real information, and that it's really, truly stuff that people can act on.
Like
Because
I see a lot of the people posting saying to side with CPS and just do what they tell you. No, you should not be siding with CPS. You should not be contracting with them, because they're not
Mhm,
going to unify you, and that's a proven fact.
mhm,
Yes, submission does not bring progress. At
mhm.
no point do people submit to tyranny and then the tyranny goes away. It's not going to happen that way.
No, it gives them strength.
Yes, every right you give away is one you will never get back unless you fight like hell to get it back. They don't just hand them back to you once they've taken them away. And they've established a precedent now. The powers that be have established this precedent that they have this authority to come in, kidnap your child, tell you it's for their good because in their wisdom they have deemed that you are some sort of threat. And regardless of the emptiness of these accusations, they act like they have established you to be guilty of the crime that they're accusing you of, and they're going to kidnap your child. And then as soon as they get away with it, well, they're going to keep doing it. That's what we've
Mhm.
seen, this huge expansion of their reign of terror and their campaign of kidnapping and coercion. And they're terrorists. They're just terrorists, and we've let them get away with it.
I mean, they're literally budgeting a percentage of each year and increase. You know, it's like they need to increase their sales by this amount of money to maintain their budget, but they're doing that with our kids. So they're literally putting a 4% increase across the board for child protective services to increase their number of kids brought in and kids adopted and kids this. So that tells me right there that they're using that just as a budgeting tool. They're not even
Yep.
using that as a safety thing. Like, we need to get 4% more of the kids in here so we can maintain our budget, use it or lose it, and all this stuff. That's ridiculous. They should not be doing that on lives. How is that not slavery? How is that not calling them property? How is that not any of these things? Because they're using the children as a tool for budgeting. So how can that not be against the law?
There you go.
You know, and that's just it. And that's where it stands. I mean, there's other evil things going on with it too. You know, you're talking. I hate that we can't really talk in these waters because YouTube will shut us down like a Waldom. But you know, there's a lot of things that are going on with these children that are missing. You know, in the state of Maine, we have over 850 kids missing from foster care to adoption. Well, where are these kids? Why don't we know where these kids are? It's the responsibility of CPS to make sure that these kids are safe. You know, they
Yes.
created the perfect storm with this thing. Once they've
Yes.
gotten rid of the families that cared for these kids once, there's no one else out there that cares for these kids the way that their original family did. So if they go missing, no one knows. You know, that new family doesn't want to say anything because they're getting a check and they're scared to say anything. So they're not going to say a damn word, you know? And so there we go there.
Why are these officials who were ostensibly, as they claim, so concerned about your child's safety that they need to come into your home and kidnap your child, but now they're no longer concerned? Kids now missing. They're
Mhm.
nowhere to be found. Like, where are you now? Where is your concern now? You know, it's
Mhm.
just bullshit. Excuse my French.
They
Yeah.
know where they are. They just play stupid.
Yep.
They said that it takes up to 2 weeks before a CPS agent will report that the kid is missing that they have taken into custody. Up to 2 weeks. And that's if they will report it anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's not even
Yeah,
reported. They just keep collecting those checks, man.
It's all about the money. It's all about the incentive.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
Tammy, you got it. You're hitting it right on the head.
So
Yeah,
I
it
got
is.
throw in a
Product
little
sales.
sidebar here. I told you earlier there is now Trump crypto available. For those of you who don't know, you can buy Trump crypto now.
Excellent. Is it going through the roof or what?
Well, I mean, it's only been around for like a week, and it's hard to tell too much in that short a time. But it's $29.07 a coin right now. When it was first introduced, it was only $7. It was fixed 29. It was $6.29 when it first came out, and it very quickly went up. But then it came back down again. Now it's holding pretty steady, right around the $30 to $35 mark.
Wow, so it's done. It's made your pocket great again. If you bought the crump.
If you bought it when it first came out, yeah, you'd be doing very well.
What is it called? Just Trump?
Well, it's called Official Trump is the name. So if you have a Coinbase account, you can go to the list of assets and just look for Official Trump. It's all over the place because it's they're really hyping it. But yeah, I might buy a little bit of it just in case, because you never know.
Could be the next Bitcoin.
Yeah, just for those of you who don't know, crypto doesn't exist, so it's the entire premise is utterly ridiculous, but a lot of people believe in it. That's why Bitcoin is so incredibly popular.
What is it? What is it based on? It's based on supposedly what you can mine. What you can't mine nothing. Like what is this
well,
stuff?
mining was something that was done with Bitcoin, which is basically they use your computer. You would set up your computer so that they could use your computer horsepower, and then at certain intervals you could generate some of a coin, not the whole coin, because the coins are like $103,000 now. Bitcoin is like $103,000, but that it's not really feasible anymore. But it's based on what's called a blockchain, which is an official kind of computer record of transactions. The bottom line is it exists solely, not even on paper. It exists in the cyber realm only. It has zero value unless we think it has value. It's kind of the same as the US dollar. So the only reason it has value is because people think it has value, and that the only reason I ever bought it is because so many people are buying it and believing in it, and that's what gives it value. So I've actually done reasonably well with crypto, and I would never have bought it. If you told me I could buy something that literally doesn't exist, I would have told you were a madman. Why would you do such an insane thing? You're buying this thing, it doesn't even exist. It's just a record of a transaction, and the computer tells you it exists, so it exists. But you can buy things with it, so for the time being, at least, it does have value.
They can turn your money into a lot of money too. So I mean, more for it.
Yeah, I did pretty well in one particular case. I bought some crypto and sold it a few months later for about 3 times what I had paid for it, and I should have held on to it. It still went up. Even after I sold it, it still went up. I would have had another like $4,000.
Don't get selfish. Just accept the fact that you went up 3 times. That's how you that's how you become a gambling addict.
I'm just saying, it's not for the faint of heart. If you get into it, you're taking your chances for sure. There's no guarantee of anything there, and I would never have told anybody to get into it, except that so many people believe in it, and so it does have value. And Trump may go up because it's only been around.
Now you're making me want to go look at it. I do believe that they should have called it Crump though. Crypto Trump. Putting that one in the bank.
I get it.
I am putting that one in the bank right there. Crypto Trump. You heard it first here on Maine Matters.
Herbert, to answer your question, we have to prove to our government that they are a corporation profiting off of our children.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that there is a corporation called the United States of America. It does in fact exist. So I can tell you that is true. I learned this years ago and checked it out. It's absolutely true. We the people are still in charge, but the corporation pretends they're in charge, and everyone pretends that they agree that the corporation is in charge. So that's why the corporation is in charge. It's really the same as Coinbase. They don't have any lawful authority. Just because they're named the United States of America, corporation, United States of America, doesn't actually give them any power or jurisdiction or authority whatsoever. It really literally doesn't. But the people that get elected serve this corporation. They don't serve we the people. So we the people are supposed to be in charge. This is my I make these very, very polished and professional visual aids. So this is our power structure, America. As we have the elected servants, they serve us, they serve we the people. We don't serve them. They're not our bosses. They don't own us. This is the dynamic they face. So when they get into office, here's what they face. They're being pressured by we the people on the one hand for what we want, and corporations, including the United States of America Incorporated, on the other side. And they're going to do whatever they're going to do based on how they are motivated. And if we let our voices be silent, then the only voices they hear are the corporations' voices. That's why we're where we are, because we have allowed this to happen. We, the people, have all the power. You can pick up your phone right now, and I have a whole bunch of our own legislators on my phone. They know me, okay? And I can push a button and I can talk to any one of them right now, assuming they answer, or just leave them a message. Say, hey, Billy Bob, this is Dana Cal. I just want to call you and say, I appreciate what you did with this, or I disagree with your view on that. And the more of us that do this, the more likely it is that we will see the positive changes that we want. It's true. It would work. It's just that not enough people are getting involved. So make these calls, write letters, be nice, be diplomatic, but tell them what you want, because what you want is probably the same as what I want. I don't want my children kidnapped. I don't want Darren's children kidnapped. I don't want Vinny's children kidnapped. I don't believe that our government has the expertise and care and commitment to that cause. And I don't believe that we the people should ever bestow upon them any authority to do that. Now, there are people who disagree with me, but I guarantee you most of you agree with me. And if we made that abundantly clear to them and insisted on it and punished them if they didn't listen to us, we would see it happen. That's the goal. That's why we're here, boys and girls. That's why me and Punisher and Vinny are here. That's what we're going to do.
Did you see what Oklahoma's doing?
What's Oklahoma doing?
Vinny, you want to tell him?
There's a guy, an attorney, who is trying to pass a bill in Oklahoma to go after caseworkers for kidnapping on a federal offense.
Good.
And we are working on getting him to come on the Tip and Punisher show.
Good.
Yeah, they're holding them criminally liable for this stuff. If they don't have the right information or whatever, and they're wrong about taking your kids, and they don't give them back, then they're going to be charged with a felony, I believe is what it says.
Good. I'd like to see that go nationwide, every state.
You ought to send Dana that bill so he can look it over.
Okay.
All right,
maybe cool.
Maybe Dana can reach out to our legislative body and kind of get them to see what's really going on.
Yeah, Dana, would you be about that?
He walked away.
Oh yes. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. No, I think that would be a great thing.
Yeah, I agree. So Dana, if we can get that bill to you to look over, would it be possible for you to get it to the legislative body and have them
Absolutely.
look it over?
Yeah, absolutely. All we got to do is get a few people that want to see it happen, start making it a little bit more, public. And, the thing is that at the end of the day, we the people advance our thoughts, ideas, and motions, and they're either going to help us or not. But either way, they're on record. See, so if they fight us, if the powers that be do things that we the people don't want them to do, it becomes a matter of record, and we can cite it, which we should be doing when in future times we have conflicts with them and say, look, we told you we wanted this. Like in Maine right now, we have the CMP corridor. We voted that damn thing down 3 times. 3 freaking times the people of Maine said, no, we don't want a giant corridor cut through our entire state from the top to the bottom. And yet, look at the map. There it is, right? They just went right around us, bypassing us. The majority of people of Maine don't want offshore wind. Offshore wind is very expensive to build and maintain, and it's destructive to our ecosystem. We, the people, never asked for it. No one ever said, we would love to see some giant wind farms
Windmills, right?
Right? Who said that? No one. And yet, there it is. So, this is outrageous. It needs to not only stop, but everyone that was involved needs to account for themselves, be held very, very publicly and ruthlessly accountable. Who told you to do this? What made you think you had a right to implement this? We, the people, told you no. Who the hell do you think you are? We're the people. You work for us. Sorry, I get pissed.
No, get pissed. That's why you're the angry citizen.
I'm so tired of this, man. I'm so tired of it. I'm tired of these corrupt politicians. I'm tired of this. All the outrageous things they do to us, and they get away with it. It's got to stop.
I just sent you the PDF on Messenger.
Good.
Yeah, they seem to think that they're untouchable, right? They hide behind that immunity clause. They're not responsible for this or that. Half of them aren't even in their offices when they're supposed to be. Most of them aren't even voting on stuff. But then you're right. Okay, so they dumped the wind farm there after nobody voted for it. But who's responsible for that? They did it anyway, and everyone just says whatever. Who cares?
Yep. Well, that's you get a lot of that from the people we talk to. What they're frequently say. Hey, what are you going to do? It's been this way for a long time. Nothing's ever going to change. They don't care about us. Our voices don't matter. And that's exactly the attitude that keeps us, with the boot on our neck. If you want to get that damn boot off your neck, you got to do something. And it does work. That's the thing. I'm not blowing smoke. Go back in time and find Martin Luther King and tell him all this won't matter. Your marches, your demonstrations, your petitions, your calls, none of it will matter. Give up.
I know. I agree.
It does. Public pressure works.
I also sent you Gabe's number, Dana, in case you want to talk to him personally.
Good. Thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm going to delve into that for sure. On a related note, I don't know if those of you out there, how you feel about the whole toxic injection issue, but we've for many years, many decades, we've seen this phenomenon called sudden infant death syndrome. We're told that basically healthy babies die for virtually no reason, or at least we don't know why. We have no idea why they die. They just die. Oh, well, sorry, gee, it's very tragic. Boo-hoo, stuff happens, you go on with your life. But those of us that have any small knowledge of science and physics are keep asking, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Healthy babies shouldn't just die in their sleep for no reason. Right. It doesn't make any sense. Well, God forbid you dare to suggest that it might have anything to do with the toxic injections that they receive. You will immediately be shut down. YouTube will yank your account. The powers of the Ministry of Propaganda will come down on you like the wrath of the devil. And that is because you're hitting the truth. That's what happens when you start speaking truth. Boy, people get very upset. If I went around saying the moon was a cube, no one would shut me down. YouTube wouldn't shut down my account, right, for misinformation. They wouldn't say, well, that's clearly wrong. We need to shut you down. Right. They don't care. They'll just laugh at me, right? If I said the moon landing was fake and it wasn't fake, no one would take me seriously. They would just laugh at me, right? They wouldn't get mad, get angry, and start, threatening my life.
Take that down, right?
Right. They would just go.
Unless you start diving into the actual information that's really out there, and then you find the actual truth.
Yeah, that's exactly correct, Benny. You look for the evidence. The evidence leads you to the truth, and the truth bears scrutiny, as I've said many times. So
they're
anyway,
not very good.
There was a baby who died. This is, you can look this up on Facebook, and I'm sure it's elsewhere, but I reposted it, and there's a lot of people that reposted this information. The baby's name was Sawyer, the first or last name I remember, so they referenced the baby as Baby Sawyer. Baby Sawyer dies after a whole bunch of toxic injections. And the parents were not satisfied with this glib explanation, sorry, crib death. They said, hang on, we want an autopsy. And they went through hell trying to get an autopsy for their kid. Think about this. Kid dies for no reason. And people actively resist an autopsy, right? What does that tell you? It tells you they're pulling some shenanigans and shady shit, and they're hiding something. Okay, well, finally, kid gets the autopsy, and they find massive quantities of aluminum. And by the way, they tried to blame the parents for the death. They tried to imply that somehow the parents were responsible for the death of this child. Okay, and this freaking pissed me off. Well, guess what? Now we have what we all knew was the evidence that existed, that these toxic injections are causing death because they're full of heavy metals. You take a healthy infant and inject them full of aluminum. It's massively foolish. It's insane. And then kid dies, and all the medical professionals go, oh, it had nothing to do with those shots. Couldn't have been. Even though it literally lists death as a possible side effect on the package inserts of these shots. Can't make this up. Everything I'm saying is true, America. Prove me wrong. It's
right here.
So there's going to be some accountability for this, folks. We've all known this has been happening. Anyone that's witnessed this firsthand, when you witness a child getting these injections and then having a seizure, try being a parent and seeing your child having a seizure. All right, you want to have your heart ripped out of your chest. That is a horrible, horrible thing to have to witness. There's nothing you can do. You watch helplessly as your child writhes around. It is unbelievable. It's so evil. So
here's the link for that what Dana was just talking about there.
Progress on this. Someone's going to be held accountable for this.
That was right here in Maine as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember seeing that story. Yep.
Here's the autopsy report right here.
Tragic. It's criminal.
Yeah, but I just sent you guys the link. I just sent you guys the link for that.
Yep.
So that's all in there, guys. Wow, I'm getting overrun by these things here. Whoa, guys. Whoa, hello, kitties. Hello, my kittens.
It's good to have cats walking on your keyboard while you're trying to do a live stream.
Yeah, it's very, very professional.
Yeah, it helps move the whole thing right along.
Yes,
yeah, no, my
it's
cat's
very.
over here yanking my charger out of the wall.
Yeah, I never know these cat things. Yeah, so that's some crazy shit right there, Dana. That's some real crazy stuff. I just put the link up there, guys. You can check out the Facebook thing right there. That's wild. And that's the stuff that CPS isn't looking for. That's the stuff that CPS doesn't care that's happening, because they're the ones that are administering these things to be taking place, like that's just it. And as long as CPS can just run around and Bill Diamond gets his little playground, of whatever he wants everybody to think that he's going to be the man and so on and so forth, this is going to continue to happen, man. This is bad news.
And we all know he is no advocate. He's pretending behind the scenes to get rid of the advocates in Maine.
Yeah, Maine's a big old smoke show, man. Maine is a damn big old smoke show of just smoke and mirrors. Let me tell you what it is. This is vacation land. Our life is good. Blah, blah, blah. Move up here from Massachusetts, please, and everything will be fine. That's exactly what this is.
Yep.
We got a house on the lake. We got a lake house. We got a camp. And we have a $2 million camp. What the hell camp have you ever been to that was $2 million if you're from up here? You know what I mean? Like, Jesus, that's camp? $2 million camp, huh?
Well, I mean, look at Bledsoe, Drew Bledsoe's, or not Drew Bledsoe, but the other one, Tom Brady's big mansion out on Fry's Island is $35,000.
You mean million?
Yeah, whatever.
That's the simpleton of Vinny.
Yeah.
What, Tom Brady has a house up there in Maine on Friar Lake?
On Fry Island.
On Fry Island? I don't even know where that is.
It's on Sebago Lake.
I've never been to Sebago Lake. I do not know much about Sebago Lake. I feel like
You
that's a
can,
bunch of rich people, though, right?
the only way you can get there is by ferry
We can't get that from here.
or
So
a
if they
boat.
meant, which they will have abundance of it because it's an island, so people will have them to get there. But he has a ferry that goes to his own island.
Yep.
How many houses are on this Fry Island?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Wow. Or do you know
And
about Fry Island?
you used to be able to go out there on your boat and go out to the ledge out there and jump off, but they banned it because there was so many deaths because the top of the ledge that you can jump off of is 100 feet up.
Yeah, we used to do stuff like that. Didn't you used to do stuff like that, Dana?
Oh,
You
yeah.
had to have.
I've
Oh
been out
yeah.
there. I jumped off the 50-foot drop one.
That's not
And
100, Vinny.
well, there's 100 and there's a 51. There's
Right.
two different parts to the ledge.
Which one would you have gone after, Dana?
I don't know. It depends on my mood that day. So
You
I've
definitely
jumped off
wouldn't
at
want to
high
go after
places.
the 100 because there's tons of rocks below. You got to know
Well, there's
right where you're diving out
regardless.
there.
I would hope so.
Yeah, you might want to pay attention if you're doing it from 10 feet, Vinny. Yeah, did you see the Maine Republicans are really coming hard after this whole CPS thing?
Yep.
Let me see if I can pull up one of their news stories here. Maine Republicans. Right. Did you see that commercial that one lady did, Vinny?
Yeah.
The one that said, "What else are you guys hiding?"
Yeah, they're hiding a lot.
Yeah.
So
Let's see.
to answer your question, there's over 400 homes on Fry Island.
Oh wow! So it's a big island.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maine Republicans to introduce sweeping legislation in reform of DHHS and get answers about child welfare cases. Maine's child welfare system still faces enormous pressure. This one's out of the Portland Press Herald right here. Share this tab instead. Maine's child welfare system still faces enormous pressure, Watchdog says. Christine Albury concluded her 2024 annual report to lawmakers by saying that more improvements is needed in investigating. This woman was such a cold-hearted bitch. Man,
Yeah.
she was so terrible to deal with. It's just an awful, awful person, man. Very cold. Think, like it's your fault. CPS isn't at fault at all. Like it was just, she was an awful, awful person. She is an awful person. Well, this is all nice though. They got all this headlines up here. Maine kids experiment with music at Meet the Instrument. Well, that'd be good if you still had your kid. Oh, Maine children should play sports on real grass. Oh, well, that'd be good if you still had your kid. See, I don't care about those problems because I don't have my kid anymore. Federal immigration changes for schools worry Maine parents if you still have your kids. How many kids I wonder what the percentage of people in the state of Maine is that have lost their kids to CPS.
Good question.
Well, I'll find a good answer. I'll bet you. Do you know that we rate number one in all of the categories, Dana? Every one of them that are bad, we rank number one in the nation on neglect, abuse, all of these things. The amount of money spent on the system, how it's spent, the whole nine. Maine is the worst in the country at all of these records for child protective services. The worst in every category.
Hardly surprising.
I mean, this is vacation land.
For sure.
Well, I mean, new federal report published early this month shows Maine is already reporting, investigating, and finding abuse and neglect at a higher rate than most states, yet not necessary keeping them any safer. Photo by Stephen McFeeters. So
Yep.
yeah, They're all throughout. They're all throughout the news, guys. Up there, like this is ridiculous. Maine is the center of it all.
Number of Maine children in state custody rises to a 20-year high. Imagine that.
Shocking.
More than one type. Oh, a child may have been the victim of more than one type of maltreatment, or the same type of maltreatment more than once. Let's look at the Maine. Maine ranks worst in U.S. for child Maine ranks worst in U.S. for child maltreatment. Report says. There we go. Oh yeah, that's the old one. Yeah, no, don't worry about that. We'll put that. But let's
How about
take a
this
look.
one? The latest child maltreatment report from the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, which covers 2023, aligned with previous federal reports that shown Maine is moving against national trend, investigating more families and removing more children, while child protective agencies is nearly all other states are moving in the opposite direction. That should tell you right there how bad Maine really is, people.
Yeah, our government, our state government here in Maine is absolutely atrocious as far as the general efficiency of our government has never been good in Maine, not our strong point. It is bloated. It is absolutely incapable of doing most of the jobs that they're assigned to do. And unfortunately, CPS is, I think, at the top of that list. The entire DHS department, the entire Department of Human Services is just wildly overfunded and underperforming. So in other words, they're getting money, but they're producing really atrocious results. And again, we've talked about this before, where they're pulling children away, kidnapping children from loving homes with the thinnest of pretenses, without any rational just cause, and allowing children who are genuinely in danger of being abused to be abused until, even in some cases, they are literally murdered because they're being abused so badly in their homes. Their record is atrocious. I cannot imagine a worse, organization for doing the thing that they're supposed to be charged with doing. Is absolutely horrendous.
So just to get the knowledge out there to everyone, I wanna read this to you guys, because I found this to be very informative. All right. So according to 2023's paycheck with a judge, okay, it states Judge J. French works as a district court judge for the state of Maine in 2023. Had a report pay of $148,231.60. According to public records, this is a 113.6% higher than an average pay for state employee and 106.6% higher than national average for a government employee.
That's one example within his description of how he will reward people.
Yeah, this is a very tricky area, because a lot of the people, we need to all keep in mind that a lot of the people who get involved in CPS mean well. They don't get in there because they want to do bad things. In fact, they get in there because they want to help. They want to do good things. The problem is they are immediately bound by this idiocracy, this giant, inflated, bloated entity with rules and regulations. And we've all, I think, in our lives been in a situation sometimes where we're confronting the reality of the existence of some rule or policy that is supposed to be helpful, but in fact ends up being harmful in some way. And people blindly adhere to this policy or procedure. They go, well, that's just the way it's done. That's our policy. That's our procedure. Ignoring common sense that says, well, if the policy is hurting you, then it shouldn't be there in the first place. Or you should at least be able to say, we need to not worry about that. We're going to waive that, because at the end of the day, we want a specific result. And CPS is supposed to be about keeping children safe. That's the purported reason for their existence. And the only way that this is going to be fixed is there's got to be a sweeping overhaul of that system. So, and when I originally years ago decided I was going to run for governor, which I decided not to do, but that's a long story. But my first course of action would have been to get in a director with the imperative that you are going to clean out this whole place. I don't care what it takes. We're not going to just go, oh well, nothing we can do about it. It's too big. You can absolutely do it and get rid of all the waste and all the inefficiency, and let's set up some standards for accountability and transparency. And it makes everybody's lives easier. It's a little, if you think about it, it's a little like police being videotaped. And when people talk about this, we should be taping the police when they're doing their jobs. And a lot of police get upset about that. And I would say to them, we're helping you. Because if you are attacked, let's say you're, trying to arrest some drunk woman and she starts beating on you, okay? And this does happen, believe me, I've known a lot of cops. And just for whatever reason or for no reason at all, she just decides to attack this cop, and the cop defends himself. And sometimes in tussles, people get, bruised. It just happens. If you have a woman trying to kill you, you're going to do what you have to defend yourself. Well, if there's a videotape, if she comes along, she says, he tried to rape me, right? Well, now there's a video, and the video refutes that. No, now she's lying. She levied a false accusation. Justice gets done. The police officer in that case had not done nothing wrong, deserves to be vindicated. It's the same thing. So we, the people, accounting for these things that are happening, whether it be good or bad, and if they're doing good, we say, good job. Thank you for protecting that child. If you're kidnapping a child from a loving home, we're going to call you out. And I'm sorry, I don't want a child to be abused, and I would like to have some mechanism available to us, to the people, to intervene if a child is in danger. But I will never sanction kidnapping because of some suspicion. Well, someone said that maybe he's being a jerk, or even worse, they'll threaten to do this over things like we got talking about poisonous injections. There are many cases where parents have gone to their well baby visit. They say, hey, we should give your child these toxic injections. And the parents say no. And they start threatening them either vaguely or overtly with calling CPS. We're gonna paint you as an unfit parent. You're somehow, with this decision, you're endangering your child. We're gonna sick the authorities on you to basically be punitive because you dared to say no. Unacceptable. So we have the ability to do this. We, the people, have the ability to demand that this be done. It's just going to take a lot of us doing it. So people say writing letters doesn't help. It does help. I'm in the middle right now of writing a whole bunch of letters because I think it's time for a lot of things to change, and they will change. And I'm happy to share those. I share those typically on my Facebook page. You can find me on The Angry Citizen on Facebook. And if you like what I write, you can print a copy of it and send it to the same person and say, listen, I'm not going to write my own words because this guy said what I wanted to say. I agree with him. Okay. Yeah. And folks, God bless America, if you disagree with me, you can say that too. Print the letter, say, I don't agree with what this guy says. I think he's wrong. Here's why I think he's wrong. I guarantee you there's a lot more of us out there than we all know. And once we start speaking to them with one voice, we let them know that, A, we are watching you. We see what you do. We're going to pay attention to you. You're not going to get away with it because no one's paying attention. We see you. We're going to make sure that you're aware that we see you. And then we're going to hold you accountable. We're going to demand that you do your jobs, do them correctly, account for your behavior, do not behave in a criminal way. As soon as you break a law, we're going to make sure you get arrested. If it's kidnapping a child, felony offense, kidnapping, you're going to go to jail. And I'm going to applaud. I'll be in the front row of that courtroom applauding when you get sentenced. And I will watch them frog march your nasty ass right down there, right off to jail where you belong.
And Herbert, to elaborate on CPS must be overhauled. No, CPS just needs to be totally redone from the ground up.
Yeah, I think overhaul is an excellent word. I agree with Herbert on this. You go in there and you look at, basically, you get rid of everything that doesn't work. Everything. And if you end up with nothing, so be it. If you clean out everything in there, because literally nothing is working correctly or set up correctly, you start over and you build it from the ground up, and you have your purpose in mind, and you do it with transparency and accountability. So we, the people, know what you're doing. And if you're doing something wrong, you're going to get called on it. And we follow lawful processes in order to intervene in a situation where a child might be in danger. There has to be some imminent crime. And a lot of people don't like this. I would like to be able to. And to be fair, I might sort of take the law into my own hands or something. If I really truly believe that a child is in danger, the angry father, angry grandfather in me might just come out, and I might take some steps on my own. But that's a dangerous road at the same time. You know, we have to have laws in place and systems in place that work within the law, that do not restrict or take away our God-given constitutional protected rights, but enable us to do what we have to do to protect children at the same time. That's a tough thing. I'm not saying that's an easy thing, okay? But that's what we need to do. We must strive for that, because the alternative is, right now, that's what, you know, Vinny and Darren were talking about earlier in terms of the numbers. You know, look at the numbers. We are failing. We're massively failing. We have to do this. We have to go in there. Overhaul is a great word. Overhaul the whole place. And, you know, make it work, make it do the thing that it was designed to do in the first place. I think we could cut it in half, and we would be able to do what needed to be done. Like, look at the budget.
And we need to take away their incentives completely across the board. No more incentives for CPS. No more.
Yeah, I agree. That they were set up with the understanding, supposedly, was, well, you know, if you're taking these children and you're bringing them into the CPS, you know, organization, then you have to, you know, pay to feed them and house them, and all that sort of thing, which is technically true, but it's become now an incentive system. It's not a, hey, we'll help you pay for the cost of taking care of children. It's now, we reward you for taking children away from their parents, and that is an abomination.
It's disgusting. Maine, the way life should be.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
it should read Maine, where CPS takes their children.
Yeah, funny, but not at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I mean, you know, between all of us, maybe we can get Gabe Woolley's information up here and get it into our legislative body and get them to realize, you know, I seen a post this morning from a guy who states that these agencies that are kidnapping children for profit should be held accountable, and we the people should be able to put them in front of like an area and take them out personally. I agree with that. For kidnapping on a federal offense, for our children disappearing and everything else, we the people should have the right to have them executed by a firing squad. That's the way they did things back in the day. Firing squad.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's what I'm saying. Make them think about these choices that they're making. Because when they have no recourse, then there's no reason to worry. It's a pass the buck game, you know? There's no fear. Sure. There's no fear to worry on, because you don't know that nobody else cares. No one's going to get in trouble. So keep on pointing your fingers and keep on doing that shit. And then we're not going to ever get anything from that, you know?
Herbert, the only problem with DT's administration getting with CPS is that it's going to take years before it really sinks into law. And that's the problem, because a lot of parents right now across the U.S., across the rest of the national borders, are facing losing their kids to the state and to their country. So it has to happen sooner than later, is what really needs to happen.
Yeah, time is definitely of the essence. I mean, for a child in a distress situation being abused, every day is an eternity.
And Jesus said something interesting. He said, the angels.
But when you have a child who's out in the public, okay, who accuses people of all these abominations that she's been getting away with, why she's out there getting herself knocked up more than twice already and doing drugs, but doesn't get reprimanded for the things that they have done.
Tell us if you have
Unbelievable.
Where is the justice in that? Where's the justice in trafficking child pornography to other states?
88% cancer disease, 88%. My great grandmother had this.
Mhm.
She really did. What happened? She saw.
Where's the justice? There is none.
No, there's not.
I wasn't in a place where I took it seriously at the time, to be honest with you. But I heard my mom talk about it, and I remember going through it and seeing her in there, and she saw a lot of relatives. Yeah. And she started calling.
That's a good question, Herbert. Herbert asked, Angry, what do you think about a citizen reviewing board for CPS? Many police departments have citizen review boards.
I love the idea, and I've been an advocate for that for many years. You know, I said early on, people would frequently ask, and it's a very legitimate question: who polices the police, right? And we've seen a lot of really egregious examples of police brutality, overreach. There were even, incidences of police running basically criminal organizations from within the police departments. And I've known a lot of police over my lifetime, a lot of police, and most of them are good people. They really are. Not all of them, just like any group. There are some that are bad, and they do unfortunately have a reputation for protecting their own. And this is something that's been ingrained in police since the first police walked the planet. That they don't reveal the wrongdoing of other police. And doing so will doom you. It will doom you to, at the very least, your career will be over, and that's very unfortunate. But those obstacles are surmountable, and the biggest way to handle them is exactly what Herbert says. You have a citizen review board, and the citizen review board has to have some authority to implement consequences to police officers who do break the law. If a police officer breaks the law, they should be held accountable the same way anyone else is. And if people see that, it builds their faith in the police department, because now they know that the police are going to be held accountable and held to a standard. So the citizens support the police by videotaping. If I see a police interaction going on and I stop and I start videotaping it, I'm helping the police. See, hurting them. The only reason that would be a problem for a police officer is they're planning on doing something wrong.
Right. If they're
If not, this is ideal. And if a police officer is accused of wrongdoing and there's a citizens review board, then whoever is making the accusation will have at least some reasonable assurance that there won't be a naked bias, and that it won't be just kicked out just because other police are looking at it, and police never, tell on other police officers. If the citizen review board is doing their job properly, they will look at it objectively, rationally, weigh the evidence, and come to a conclusion, and hold the police officers that do commit crimes accountable, and vindicate the ones that are not guilty, that are falsely accused. I think that's an ideal system.
See, but Athena, that doesn't work up here in Maine. They do not allow other parties in the courtrooms with the CPS cases. It is one-on-one, individually only.
Yeah, I know, and that needs to be changed, and that's not justified either. This is an example of court systems, and our judicial system in Maine is really corrupt, and they just do whatever they want, and they don't have to justify it. They'll offer some lame justification, but they are not actually empowered to do a lot of the things that they do, such as dictating who's allowed to come into the courtroom and who is not allowed. They just do it because they get away with it. They can do it. Who's going to stop them? So
yeah.
They say, you can't come in here. What are you going to do?
That's the absolute truth, too. That's funny.
Yeah. So if it were me, I would say, number one, the first thing I would say is, who are you? Now, we always take this for granted. Person in uniform, right? We know who they are. Don't ever assume that. Ask them, who are you? Say, I don't know you. Who are you? Right? Make them identify themselves. I am officer such and such. I am deputy so-and-so. I am, and get their badge number. Okay. And people look at this as confrontational, adversarial. Well, it kind of is, but what's your choice? Lay down and take it? Right? No, I don't, because I know the law. See, it helps a lot. If you know the law, they realize that very quickly. And believe me when I tell you, their attitude changes when they know that you know what you're talking about. And then, by what authority? This is so important, folks. By what authority? Now, people think of authority in terms of power. Power and authority aren't the same thing. I have the power to go do a lot of things that are flagrantly illegal. If I wanted to drive down the street right now and rob a liquor store, take my gun, go to the store, point it at someone, say, "Give me your money or I'll shoot you." I can do that. I have the power to do it, but it's not lawful. Authority is derived from a source of some sort. Our government derives authority from we the people. We delegated them limited authority. So when someone says, "I demand that you do this," or threatens you with a consequence, if you do not leave now, I will arrest you for trespassing. Okay, this has happened a lot over the past few years because of people who wanted to shop without masks. There have been many, 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 many confrontations nationwide in all these supermarkets and other stores where someone said, "To hell with your mask. I'm not putting a suffocation device on my face. I just want to buy some bananas, feed my family, and you don't have any authority to demand that I wear a mask." And then they would be threatened with arrest. Well, you need to leave. If you're not going to put on a mask, you have to leave. Well, thank you, Athena. Assertive is different than confrontational. You are correct. It's a little gray, maybe, sort of, but you are foundationally correct. Thank you. So the person says, "Well, I'm going to call the police. I'm going to have them come arrest you for trespassing." So in one case, I have a friend who was in a credit union and he refused to wear a mask and they seized his assets. They froze his checking account. That's not lawful. You can't. That's a flagrant violation of the law. That's theft. Period. When he went in to talk to them about that, they called the police, and he had a big old confrontation with these police. Well, this guy knows his stuff, okay? And he said to them, this was a great moment. He looked at the cop and he said, how can I be arrested for trespassing, or how can I be trespassing when I own this place? I'm an owner. See, and folks, that's how credit unions work. You are an owner. They'll tell you that. That's their selling point. You're an owner. He said to them, how can I be trespassing if I'm an owner? See, so knowing the law helps a lot, but these two things are the basic concepts that will help you empower yourself at least a little bit, because when you start talking about these things or speaking using these words to people that are elected servants or agents or their officers, they know that you know what you're talking about, and they'll take you seriously, and they'll be more careful in their interactions with you because they know they can't just steamroll you or basically lie. Some of them they'll lie through their teeth. They'll say, "I can do this," or "I'm empowered to do this," or whatever, and it's not true, but they don't care, because again, what are you going to do?
Which I have found with state cops thinking that they have a right to people's information without a warrant. Wrong.
Yep.
And I plan to attack that very quickly.
So this is an interesting comment that was put up here by this man, Christopher Naylor.
Yeah,
Citizen review panels.
he's really good on information.
I feel like there's more to this, but yeah, this is good stuff. And I mean, they should be. This should be mandatory, because it helps the police in so many ways. It helps legitimize all of their interactions and all of their. When a police officer says, "I arrested this person. I had lawful cause to arrest them. They're guilty of this crime." If you had a squad of civilians there videotaping it, that carries a lot of weight, unless they're the cops' cousins, right? It helps. Thank you, Danielle, for watching. We appreciate it.
She's one of our casters on here. She does unmasking foster care.
Nice. Well, good for you, and God bless you. That's important work. There are so many damaged children out there, and I wish I were rich. If I were rich, I would have a giant house or a farm. I would get as many of them as I could, bring them in, give them everything that they could want. I didn't, when I was young, I was kind of on my own a lot. I didn't have a dad around, but I thought I had it rough, but I didn't realize it until I started meeting people who had really had it rough and told me the horrible things that happened to them. And I started realizing that I didn't have it nearly as bad as I thought. And I thought, no child should go through this. No child should have to be abused and neglected and, sexually assaulted. I mean, that's just so vile. The father and grandfather me just goes berserk. I have this Billy Jack moment. For those of you who don't know Billy Jack, it was a movie back in the 70s, I think. Really good movie. and it's about a Native American. His name's Billy Jack, and he's in an environment where there's a lot of prejudices, and he ends up going to jail. And when he gets out of jail and comes back, he finds the local kind of powers that be are being very abusive to all the Native Americans, and he's well versed in martial arts, well versed in karate, and has to constantly hold back his anger and his outrage at what he sees going on around him. There's a great scene where some of these, they're basically children, and they go into an ice cream store to get ice cream. And the guy is very prejudiced. He's telling him, "I won't serve you ice cream," calling them names, so forth. And the bad guy comes into the ice cream shop and sees them, and he's got this giant thug dude that always hangs out with him, because that's how people like that are. And he ends up just basically, he says, "Hey, if the problem is that their skin isn't the right color, we can fix that." And he takes a scoop of flour and dumps it on the face of this little girl. And while this is going on, Billy Jack walks in, and the look the look on his face is one I've had on my face, I know, many times, right? He's writhing with anger, and this holy righteous anger at what he sees going on around him. And he says, and these are my words, swear to God, these are my words. He says, when all the people around me, all my friends tell me, "Billy, you gotta, don't be angry. Don't react with anger. Be the bigger man. Control it. All this stuff." And he looks around at all these people, these basically children, and sees them, and he says, "But when I see these types of things, you should watch the scene because I'm not doing it justice." And he just goes, "I just go berserk," and he starts beating the piss out of these two guys. And it's understandable, and that's how I feel when I see these things going on. I'm so tired of seeing these rampant injustices all around us, and seeing these people not only getting away with it, but being rewarded. They get rewarded for this crap. It makes my blood boil. And so, we've got to act, people. I mean, we've got to act. So right now, the path is in front of us, pretty plain. Speak out. Use your voice. These people don't hear from the people that serve us, our elected servants and all their agents. Don't hear from the people. I know this because I talk to them. I have a whole bunch of them on my phone. I talk to them. They hear from very few of them, unless there's some really important issue on the table. Their phones are relatively quiet. Okay, all of us have a right and a duty and an obligation to contact them, tell them how we feel about these issues. Be nice, be diplomatic, but say, "This is how I feel." And enough of us together will make an impact, because it empowers them. They go into the Congress or the Senate and they say, "Listen, I heard from X number of my constituents, and they don't want a 1% payroll tax," okay, which we don't here in Maine. We have this new payroll tax, supposedly pay us for long-term medical care. Well, I don't want the damn government managing my finances. If I need to take time off from work, I'll arrange that with my employer. I'll use my vacation time that they provide to me, my sick time, or I'll take time off without pay. I do not consent to have money taken out of my check. I guarantee you 90% of the people in Maine agree with me. I guarantee you. Who in the chat thinks that that's a good idea? I would like to know. Post in the chat. Tell us, "I want money to be taken out of my paycheck because I think it's a great idea. And I want the government to manage it, and I want the government to allocate it back to me when they see fit, because they're so freaking magnanimous and efficient." And
seeing how, I've already gotten my 1 W-2 back for my last employment.
My 1 W-2.
I have another one somewhere. I have to wait for it to
My
come in.
My CO 175 I got.
But out of that, they took out $5,383.48.
Very nice, Vinny.
Yep.
That's a lot of fucking money.
Yep. Let's see what I've got. I got my W-2 right here. So let's see what
You got your 1 WC?
So Oh, that's the wrong one. This was I worked for Ella Bean for a little while, and they had a retirement plan. It was pretty good, and I put money in it. And when I left, I took the money, but apparently there was a residual amount of money in that hadn't been allocated yet. And they called me and told me I had money, and I was so happy. And I went through all this stuff to try to get them to send me a check. It was very time consuming. Checks for $1.80, folks. Yeah, $1.80.
Very nice.
All right, let's see what this one says. All right, so at the risk of giving out personal information, it's nobody's business. So roughly $35,000. I'm very middle class. So I made about $35,000 last year. It's more than some, so I'm actually grateful for it. Here we go. Federal income tax withheld, $2,254.67. $2,250 these bastards held out for federal income tax, so they could give themselves a giant raise. Yeah, folks, they gave themselves a raise. Your Congress gave themselves a 40% raise. How do you
And
like
up here,
that?
they just gave themselves a 61% raise.
Social Security, $2,180. Now, folks, I can actually get my Social Security benefits starting pretty soon. I'm older than I look. And they're going to give me a giant whopping roughly $1,100 a month out of my lifetime of money that I've put away in this Ponzi scheme Social Security fund. Medicare, $512 something, $512 something for Medicare. So I haven't been to the doctor in many years. I don't typically go to doctors unless I'm injured in a fashion that requires a doctor, which I have been in my life. I've broken my ribs 3 times, separated my right shoulder. I've cut myself all over for various reasons. I'm just very active. Cut my hand. I banged my head 3 times. Had 3 different stitches.
Oh,
so
I can
go
imagine.
to the doctor, but I don't have checkups, and I don't need Medicare. I'm paying for someone else's health care. That's what's going on with this Medicare. Welcome to communism. And I'm paying for apparently the Maine Department of Human Services with my state income tax to
kidnap kids.
Like Darren and Vinny. So thank God for them, huh? Thank God that they can tell what's left of you.
Yeah,
Darren.
because
That
they're
would
taking
be
the
bad.
house support. They're going to take all this 5,000 just in this, plus my other tax return. So that's probably a good 10 or 11,000 right there on top of it.
Yep. There are a couple of, I'll try to remember hopefully I'll be able to join you guys next week again, and if I do, I'm going to bring some notes. There are a couple of programs, government watch programs, and one of them is a watch program that constantly monitors wasteful spending, and it is staggering. You will not literally believe the bullshit that these people use our money to do. And I don't know about any of you out there, but I like to be able to put food on the table. It's not free. I don't go to the grocery store and get free food, especially eggs. I have to pay rent for this place. Oddly enough, my landlord requires me to pay rent every month. If I don't pay my rent, I risk becoming homeless, and that's a problem. I have a young son, 8 years old, and he requires clothes and food, and he had to get glasses and other things. All these things cost money, and I'm trying to pay for my own needs and my own expenses. I don't particularly want to care for other people's needs or expenses, and to have money forcibly taken away from me and allocated by people who aren't even any good at doing it. It's not even a good skill where they're really efficient at it.
They just take and ruin.
Just take it and then squander it, frivolously. And it needs to stop. It's the prosperity of this whole nation. Look at Jeff Bezos. Think about this for a second. Jeff Bezos builds Amazon. He squeezes every penny he can out of his employees. He reduces their wages. He reduces their hours so he doesn't have to pay for benefits. Now, he doesn't need this money. Jeff Bezos is not starving. It's not like if I don't do this, I will starve to death. He's doing it because he wants more profit. He's already making profit. It's not like he's losing money. He's making money. He wants more. So he buys more and more and more, or uses more and more of these tactics to squeeze the life out of his employees, enriches himself, he could, if he wanted to, give all of his employees a very healthy salary. Instead, he buys himself a $500 million yacht. Now, there are those that would argue that that stimulates the economy, and
He
that's a
needs
valid
that.
point.
He needs that yacht.
He did, in fact, pay for something that required building. They paid people to build it. They paid for the materials, the steel and the wood and all the electronics and so forth. So yes, he did, in fact, take that $500 million.
It's got to have a full crew on it when it's there.
Yeah, but is it really better that he should have done that than they should have allowed the people that work for him to be prosperous? To instead of squeaking by, scraping by, barely putting food on the table, maybe these people could have breathed a sigh of relief, taken a day off, put their kids through college, right? It's despicable. It's vile.
Yeah.
Love of money. And that's what the
But wouldn't you love a $500 million yacht?
Danielle, to answer that, they're
I
saying
mean, come on, dude.
they're saying you're 14,000 behind. You want mine? They're saying I'm 25,000 in the hole.
You will never have a license again, Vinny.
But they're taking my entire tax return every fucking year.
Yeah, and the best part is that's just paying on interest.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, guys, you ready to wrap this one up?
Indeed.
Yep.
All right, guys. We'll see you next Saturday. Don't forget tonight, Vinny's on his show. Don't forget, catch his Angry Citizen on his BitChute channel and all. Where else are you on, Dana?
I do YouTube and Facebook. It streams to BitChute secondarily, but I'm easy to find on YouTube and Facebook, The Angry Citizen.
All right, perfect. He'll be back with us next Saturday, maybe. If not, we'll catch him on the flip side on the next time around. Check out this one, guys.
Country.
In a pine tree state under northern skies, there's a storm brewing where the truth lies. Governor Mills tearing families apart, stealing our kids, breaking hearts. We rise up, we won't back down. From the CPS to the governor's town, the Punisher, Angry Citizen, Vinny too, fighting for the ones they took from you. On quiet streets, through whispering pines, mothers cry and the truth unwinds. Power in hands, cold and unjust, trust broken, left in the dust. We rise up, we won't back down. From the CPS to the governor's town, the Punisher, Angry Citizen, Vinny too, fighting for the ones they took from you. In the small towns where we grew, summer fields, skies so blue, now shadowed by a government's hand. Time to reclaim, take a stand. Together we march, voices loud and clear. No more fear, no more tears. Remain for justice, we unite against corruption for what's right. Up, we won't back down. From the CPS to the governor's town, the Punisher, Angry Citizen, Vinny too, fighting for the ones they took from you. We rise up.